to go? Before I start, I wanted to give you all something sweet to break up the long day. So please check under your seats for a taste candy. I got two! That entire side got two, and that entire side got none. Oh man. Well, sorry that side of the room. No candy for you, I guess. Now, did that seem fair to you, this side of the room? That this side got two candies and you didn't even get one? Now, imagine I, the government, did the same thing, but with water. If I prioritize certain people or industries over others in distributing this essential resource, this is the effect of misplaced priority. This is water scarcity, a lack of easy access to safe drinking water that currently affects 2 billion people worldwide. They can't cook, they can't bathe, and they can't drink in the ways that you and I take for granted. While these images may not reflect your life experiences right now, they will in time, unless we take drastic measures and fast. Water scarcity is spreading, and we are all in line. So how does misplaced priority turn into water scarcity? Well, water scarcity, also known as water stress or insecurity, is caused by two main factors: physical scarcity and economic scarcity. Physical scarcity is a supply issue. There's literally not enough of something, like if I hadn't brought enough candies to distribute, or if the world were producing less water, which it is due to climate change. In fact, the UN is predicting that within the next century, global temperatures will rise up to 43 degrees Fahrenheit, causing increased droughts, storms, and evaporation of all our water sources, including below-surface groundwater. And then there is the economic scarcity, which is a demand and distribution issue. The rate that society is developing means that our water demand will exceed our water supply by 2040, causing a water crisis. Now, this heightened demand is largely due to the fact that industries get priority in water. They can take as much water as they want, even if it's not strictly necessary. And this comes at a disadvantage to the public and to our future. Now, this hits very close to home for us Georgians, as our state's dual identity of a rural farmland and a metropolitan industrial center means that we require more water than most states. But we don't really have the resources to support that due to water wars with other states and abysmal quality of many water sources. So, solutions to this terrible, terrible issue of water scarcity, both on the state level and on the global level, are to embrace and adopt innovations and also to conserve in our daily lives. Innovations such as extraction of groundwater and seawater will mean that we have access to our untapped resources, and once we filter them and desalinate them, we'll have extra water to add to our supply. That's extra money in the bank. And another innovation in the industrial side of things would be water-efficient technology, such as bioengineering in agriculture, or water and solar power in the energy industry. We need to demand more of our industries, and if they're not adopting water-efficient practices, they're just taking water that doesn't need to be taken and could go to the public. And in saving this extra water, we will also be able to distribute more water equitably, focusing on areas that need water the most. And then, of course, in our daily lives, I'm sure you've heard all the things that we can be doing to conserve water, but it's really hard to comprehend how much menial tasks can affect water scarcity. things like showering, doing your dishes, brushing your teeth, they have a huge impact. And just doing it for yourself and enforcing it for your family can make a big difference. Now here at HAA, we're doing okay with water efficiency with our auto faucets and our bottle fillers rather than water fountains so that we don't splash and waste water, but we can always do more. I will propose to the school a water education project, complete with homemade filtration systems so that students can maximize water supply. I also call on water experts in the community and other concerned individuals to lobby the school to get more water efficient appliances. Together we can make a huge, huge difference. And at the end of the day, our responsibility for human life behooves each and every one of us to take a long, hard look at our water usage. Though these changes may seem inconvenient to our lifestyles, they are doable, they are effective, and they're the right thing to do. So today I ask you, do one small thing for water scarcity. Take a shorter shower. Turn off the faucet as you brush your teeth or soap up your dishes. These little things add up. And today, when you leave, I want you to spread this information that you've learned. This can also help water scarcity. And lastly, I want you to remember that we can all make a difference. Thank you. Beautiful picture.
You mentioned how we can save water to protect our own communities and to gain more money to, do a lot of different things to save water in our own communities. So how do you recommend we move that past us into communities where they can't really get clean water or they have trouble buying the water?
That's a really great question and a very good point, because buying water in countries where inflation is a reality that they have to face and where their water quality has to be different from other locations, because geography does play a role in water quality. It is very, very difficult to find sufficient water and water that you can afford. So if we do our jobs, if we save water, then we can provide humanitarian aid. If we save enough water, we can possibly provide water for other people whose supplies are low. And by implementing different innovations, bringing innovations such as extraction of groundwater and seawater, means that we would employ untapped resources. And there's actually a really great story. This past summer in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, they had a terrible drought. And what they decided to do was they employed these solar-powered groundwater extractors. So this is sort of implementing a few things that we talked about, so that made my heart sing. So in Phnom Penh, they were able to provide their communities with water through extracting groundwater. And of course, we don't want to take too much because we want our earth to be hydrated. We don't want dry, cracked ground. But measures that countries can take, that richer countries such as America can help with, make all the difference. Eli.
Where do you think the biggest, reservoir or area of water can we take from? Is it the ocean? Is it underground water?
So as a graph showed, the world's water is 96.5% seawater. And that's water that we're largely not using because it's salt water and we can't consume it unless we desalinate it. So if we promote desalination and take away the focus from industry and shift it to humanitarian aid and focus on things that aren't just for the biggest profit, then we can definitely provide a lot more water for people. Countries like Israel are already employing techniques such as this, and it's been successful. So I'm hopeful for the future. Sivan?
Why should I, as an individual, focus so much on reducing my own water usage when companies are drastically using so much more water than I am and not making any changes? Like, how is my change going to actually help?
It's a good question, and it's definitely very discouraging when you look at the numbers and see how much industries are using. It's honestly appalling, but we want these industries to change. We want to encourage them to, but the change starts with us. And if you're not employing these water-saving techniques, then you don't have so much credibility when you ask industries to. And the entire economy is affected by industries, as Adam can tell you. I won't say any more. But if we as a country, as a planet, adopt an attitude of humanitarianism, of helping people, then we can get the entire world, hopefully, to invest in water security. Asha.
Who's responsible for the distribution of the water resources that we do have?
It's largely the government. It is the government. And there are many government policies, such as the Water Stewardship Act of 2010, that regulate water. That act actually instates wastewater recycling and water bill incentives. And those are a good start, but these policies do definitely have to be enforced, and every member of government has to buy into that because governments change over, and so we need full buy-in.
Jemima, just so we can keep somewhat on the schedule, keep it to one more question, okay?
Okay. Marguerite,
What about candy for the other side of the rail?
I'm glad you asked. I didn't want to make any enemies. So, we can treat this as a sort of exercise in mindful distribution. So, this side of the room, if you can take and pass back, there should be enough for everyone, but we'll see by the end.